Welcome back. So as we continue going through my journey, uh, we move on to my second course mentor, Deontay Break the Cycle section. If you've watched any of his videos, that's pretty much how he starts off his things. Deontay Break the Cycle section. How you doing? But I mean, that's his little thing. You got to make it your own, right? I have yet to found a way to make this my own. This is just me on a mic behind a screen saying what I went through in order to learn what I did. Do I have a personality? Absolutely. Do you get to see it? Probably not. It's a learning process. Everything's a learning process, right? You just got to find out how to adapt and overcome. So as I was going through this, I went back through some of my old stuff to see, what is it that I learned. So I talked earlier about iMarkets Live. iMarkets Live led me to Deontay. From Deontay, from here, so like starting with iMarkets Live, you start with all the basics. You learn what Forex is, the foreign exchange market, what a pair is, what's time, what time to trade. I know I have basics here and it starts with number 4, but obviously there are 3 others before that. But you learn what times to trade, you learn what a pip is, what a pipette is. All this stuff you could research for yourself, and you can find websites to do it. The difference being some people do better with listening to somebody else explain and show versus just reading from a website. So like Baby Pips, not a bad place to go. One of my boys, he's taken a finance class and I've gotten him to learn how to day trade. And I started with Baby Pips and he went through the Baby Pips Academy, high school, whatever, kindergarten, whatever it is that they have you go through. And I mean, it's a good start to something. So as you go on, this is all the different, you learn about lot sizes, you learn what a trend is, what are candlesticks. So, I mean, you learn so much about this. And the more I understand that some people, you need to learn this. Others, you don't. You just need to have a relative general overview without going so far into it. I sometimes put it to the equivalent of a race car driver doesn't need to know all the ins and out of how the engine works in order to be a good race car driver. And so same thing here. When you get into it, there's a lot of information and you don't necessarily need to know all the information in order to be a successful trader. And so, but like I said, this is a path that I went through. And if it works for you and you need to go through all this and you need to know the what everything is, then go for it. But if you don't, there's a lot of things you could probably skip and still be just fine. So you learn about your margin, balance, equity, especially if you're trading with leverage and things of that nature. That's where you're going to really need to know that. What the difference is between pending orders and stop orders and limit orders and things, or pending orders as far as limit orders, stop orders, what those are. I got all these different examples, everything like that. I try to make it easy for me, even though this confused the junk out of me until I actually got in it and started doing it and realizing what it was. And so, just all sorts of different stuff that just continues going on. A lot of this was still IML, where they talk about the harmonic scanner. That was on the website earlier where it said one of the products that they have. The harmonic scanner is one of them. And there's different tools of the trade, things of that nature. And so this was all that. I learned all this stuff, and then I moved on to Deontay's course section. He is another YouTuber. He's another trader. And he does pretty well. But some of his, so what kind of trader are you? you'll have to find that out. You'll have to learn if you are price action, if you're indicators, if there's something else that helps you make that decision to get in, whatever it is. A lot of the things that I learned through Break the Cycle FX was very, very indicator based. Now, granted, they did harp on the idea of the foundation being price action, but a lot of it was very much indicator based. And so when I got into this, I had an idea of what price action was, but I never fully understood it. And so trying to get into indicators to help pinpoint, and really when it boils down to just about every strategy out there, it boils down to a point, a place on the chart where you are looking for a reaction, and then you're validating, you're confirming that reaction in whatever way you make, whatever way you found works for you. And the same thing works here. They use indicators to get a price, a place of interest, a point of interest, and then they use price action in order to see if price is going to respond to that point of interest. Support and resistance, no different. The same thing with I believe, shoot me if I'm wrong, don't shoot me. Order blocks, things of that nature, market, smart money, all that other stuff. You look for a particular point, you're waiting for price to get to that point, and then you're looking for clues for a reaction. And that's pretty much it. And so I learned that indicators work. It works for people. From here, I wanted to find something a little bit more structured. A lot of the understanding for how to trade was not easy for me to grasp, and I needed something a little more structured, a little more rules based. There seemed to be a whole lot of freedom in interpretation because of all the different indicators. Like, there was so many indicators in some of these systems. Some of them were kind of simple and were okay to follow, and so like a couple of the ideas that they had, a couple of different philosophies that came out of it was this idea of just grabbing 10 pips and getting out of the market, looking for those areas where price is going to react, getting 10 pips, a movement of 10 out of it, and then calling it quits and going. This was a very, very nice idea and concept that I know works on paper, translates differently into real life though. But it's very similar to a couple other people that I follow who also quickly compound small accounts. And so it's like, in a perfect world, if you could win 100% of the time, starting off with $100, at the end of your 10 trades, you would have 4 times that amount just by risking 12% each time. And so it's like, that's doable mathematically. And I've seen people, and I know people who have done it in real life. So the idea and the concepts make sense. And so I just had to find a way to make them make sense for me. And indicators weren't it, nor were a lot of the strategies that used indicators, at least not in the up to interpretation ways that I feel like they had. And so one of the things that I moved on from after this. So we had this sold me on the idea that yes, you can make this work. It is very, very nice. You can make it work if you can find a way to just be right more often than you're wrong. And so I had all the back testing. I love back testing. I love charting. I love all sorts of stuff in regards to Forex. It is so much fun. But I had back tested. This is a strategy that I have in my bucket someplace. And like, It has a 60% win rate. It's really huge, really good win rate. I know a lot of people will talk about higher than that, but really you only have to be slightly more above 50% in order to be profitable, as long as you are winning more than you're losing out of 1-to-1. So like this would have worked out great minus the max drawdown. That's another thing that you got to deal with. That's a whole psychological level. But like this would have worked out great. I had a hard time implementing this. I had a hard time with the 6:30 in the morning to 4:45 at night, and sometimes all throughout the days. It was just really, really rough to try to make this happen. But it's doable. One of the things that I was going through the process of and just testing all sorts of stuff. And another system that I was trying had a 1-to-2 risk reward instead of the 1-to-1 from earlier. It dropped your win percentage down, but definitely made your total gains, I believe, higher, right? Or I'm looking at winning percentage. I don't have it on there, do I? Total percent gained. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's because that's at 4 and this is at 1. And so if I change this to 4, what does that change that to? Let's see. So this has pretty good gains, and it only has, that's a big match drawdown too. Good gracious. See, now that I understand, like, the math makes sense. One thing I didn't understand was how the drawdown would affect me most of all. And so even though you can make the numbers make sense, there is still a process you have to go through to understand how that is going to work for you. And so tracking all this stuff, it was great. I got to learn all sorts of stuff about myself. I got to learn all sorts of stuff about the market. And I appreciate everything that I did learn through Deontay and the courses that he offered. But the next course that I took after following, because I was following other people at this point in time, I was trying to suck in as much as possible to try to understand, try to find. You get into this habit of trying to find the holy grail, trying to find that one system that's going to make you tons of money with relative ease, and then the more you realize that that's not a possibility, that there's a lesson to be learned. There's all sorts of nuances in everyone's strategy that you have to learn in order to make it work. And so once again, didn't like all the indicators and the subjectivity in the indicators. I like the idea of some indicators. I really wanted the idea of rules, hard set rules. And so the next channel, the next course that I took was the trading channel. Taking it, it's a guy named Steven. He runs it. He runs the EAP program, which I purchased and I went through. This is one of the full programs that I've gone well in depth in repeatedly. This is probably the one that took me from random winnings and then some lost downtime, took me to more of break even all the time. Like I was successfully breaking. I would win as much as I would lose, and I would be able to stand that. So it was good for me as far as getting in and being able to place trades, play on my psychology and everything of that nature. Whereas the previous, before that, doing IML and doing break the cycle, I would have some really good win streaks, but then I'd have sometimes even worse losing streaks, or the win streaks, because it was so subjective, got to a point where I was not trusting that, and it felt more like luck than it did actual my skill, like learning anything or applying anything that I learned. And so the trading channel is where I went next. I purchased that one. I went through that whole entire course. And in the next video, I will tell you all about that. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back. If you learned anything about this, if you have any questions about Break the Cycle or iMarkets Live or anything that I might have covered, by all means, ask me. If you are new to the channel, then go ahead and subscribe so you can stay up to date on the journey as I continue to move from a 9-to-5 worker to a full-time trader. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Be blessed, and you guys have happy trading.